I never thought a stack of firewood could start a war, but when you live under an HOA controlled by a woman who treats the neighborhood like her personal kingdom, anything becomes a weapon and everything becomes a target. This is the story of how my firewood kept vanishing night after night and how I finally decided to teach our HOA Karen the loudest lesson of her life. It started innocent enough. The nights were getting colder, so one evening I walked out to the storage shed to grab some logs for the backyard fire pit. Except the neat stack I split and arranged myself looked lighter. About 6 or 7 pieces missing, I shrugged it off. Maybe I miscounted. Maybe I used more last week than I remembered. I let it go, but the next night the pile was lower again. Another chunk missing. That's when I checked the security footage, and sure enough, there she was. Karen Whitmore, HOA president, robe sandals marching across my property at 11:43 at night. She didn't sneak. She didn't act guilty. She just walked in, grabbed an armful of my firewood, and strutted away like she owned it. The next morning, she pretended nothing happened, waving at me from her driveway, talking about community safety standards and brightness of porch lights. Everyone knew she was nosy, but stealing firewood was a new level. Even for her, I walked over calmly and told her she needed to stop trespassing and taking my things. She smiled the type of smile a crocodile makes before snapping. Well, technically, the HOA owns the exterior view of your property, so anything visible is community shared. She said. I stared at her. She was serious. I went home laughing. Not because it was funny, but because it was unbelievable. She really thought everything she could see belonged to her. I moved the firewood inside the shed, locked it, and went about my day. That night she came back. She rattled the shed door, tried to force it open, and when that failed, she waddled away grumbling. The next morning I found a citation on my porch, unapproved storage structure. The shed that had been there since before the HOA existed was now somehow illegal. That's when I decided I wasn't going to play defense anymore. I was going to end this. I drew up a plan, simple, harmless, and guaranteed to stop her from stealing. I hollowed out several logs, drilled clean through the middle, and packed them with small amounts of gunpowder. Nothing deadly, nothing dangerous, just enough to explode into a spectacular firework when thrown into a flame. I sealed each one so carefully that no one could tell the difference. I placed them right back in the woodpile and waited. Sure enough, around midnight, Karen crept across my lawn again. Robe sandals, flashlight clicking. She grabbed the hollow logs, the exact ones I planted like bait, and marched them home proudly. The next morning I brewed coffee, sat on my porch, and waited. She always lit her fireplace around 7:45 on cold mornings. She believed the smell of burning wood made her house worth more. Property value aroma, she called it. Then it happened. A soft thud, a muffled boom. Glass rattled, birds flew off trees, and a puff of white smoke burst out of her chimney like a cartoon cannon firing. She screamed. Neighbors ran outside. Dogs barked. Chaos everywhere I walked, over slowly holding my coffee. Karen burst out her door, covered in soot hair, standing straight up, like she stuck her head in a power socket. She pointed at me, shrieking, "You sabotaged me, you criminal, you monster." I asked her calmly why she was burning wood that belonged to me on property she trespassed onto to steal. She froze. For once in her life, she had no sarcastic comeback. The neighbors whispered some laughing behind hands. They all knew she deserved it. Minutes later, police arrived, Karen ready to play victim. They reviewed the camera footage, every trespass, every theft, every citation. She faked every time she tried breaking into my shed. It took them only 3 minutes. "Karen, you are being charged with trespassing, property theft, and attempted vandalism." They said she screamed again, but this time it didn't echo with power. She looked small, defeated, ridiculous. "They didn't arrest me. I didn't break any laws. My logs were on my property and she stole them. If she wanted to steal something rigged to explode into harmless fireworks, well, that was her decision." The HOA voted her out within a week. People came by thanking me, telling me they wanted her gone long before the boom of the century. Neighbors even helped repaint the shed just to spite her. And to this day, whenever I light my fire pit and see sparks fly into the sky, I remember the moment Karen learned that stealing firewood from the wrong person might just end with the loudest lesson of her life.